I
There we
am
go.
obviously in the adult industry, but I advocate for like fitness and health, and that's something that I was into before I was into the adult space, and it's something I continue to bring into that space as well. And they're not mutually exclusive to me. And I call
Yeah.
myself the pious porn star.
Mm, that's a hell of a combination.
So
Jesus.
it's a little bit of a unique combination. I'm a
Yeah.
very different person how I view things. It's very
Mhm.
unique, and I'm 43, so I really don't have time to fuck around and and not really be authentic or be myself or get what I want out
Yeah.
of this experience. So I'm gonna shut
Are
my
you
window so
No,
my
you're good.
neighbors don't see me with my tits out again
Wow.
anymore.
Yeah, I was gonna say, God, they are I mean, they have to have been like, we hit the jackpot moving into this
Well,
house.
I mean, I live in like a retirement area with like there's like families,
Yeah.
so not so much, I have to be
Okay.
like I have to make sure like I go out, I do so I have a hot tub and I don't have like fences. Well, I do have a fence, but you can't like see you can see through it. It's not like
Right, right.
it's not
Yeah.
private. So I go out, I'm like I have to make sure. I'm like, is it dark enough for me to walk out there naked? You know?
Jesus. Let me tell you something. If I was a kid, picture me at about 11 or 12 years old, I'd be asking for night vision goggles every
Well,
year for Christmas.
one of my personas is like the next door, like the MILF next door. So it works in my advantage to be a real person where I have to be
Yeah.
like, about being next door. And I do try to be mindful of the fact there are families that don't necessarily want to
Right.
have exposure to that, but at the same time it's natural and I'm not ashamed of any part of what I do.
Well, nor should you. You shouldn't be ashamed of that. Fucking
Well,
people do. Yeah. Go
I do
ahead.
have a moral code with it. So there's
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Well, everybody has their own, a set of morals. I don't think, I mean, everybody's morals are kind of gray, I think, or I think they should be to most. I mean, obviously, there's some things that are just very black and white. Like, you can't fucking do that. But I think for
Well,
the most, Jesus, you're all right.
but you're in
God.
the industry I'm in, and they're in the business of feeding the animal and feeding what sells. And there's times where I have to draw a line and say, I'm not going to do that. I actually had twice this past week where I had to say no to a script because I wasn't comfortable doing it.
Yeah.
And
What
it
was
was
it?
one, well, there
If
were
you can say
mommies.
it.
They were mommy scripts. And it's okay to say
Okay.
but that's part of my nose. And the thing is like I'm okay with the stepmom genre. That's okay with me. But for me,
Right.
it's oh, mommy, baby wants this, like mommy wants her baby to come. And it's like, it's this like, it crosses the line from like
Yeah.
states, from like, because, and then I hear people say, oh, well, guys sexualize their mothers anyways. Not like that.
I mean, yeah, there's like the Freudian,
Yeah, there's
Oedipal
like the staring
bullshit,
at your
but
mom's. They're staring at your mom's tits when you're 8 years old, not realizing, not knowing what tits are. But then there's also like if you think about like your mom, I don't really think guys don't do that. They don't, not to that extent. And if I'm
yeah.
pushing guys to that line where they're sexualizing their own mothers, that's something that I feel wrong about and I get ick about. So I don't
Yeah.
do.
I'm with you, and part of that could be that my mom sort of looks like Mickey Rourke.
It.
And so, there
you
wasn't a whole
know,
lot of like fantasizing going on in that
I
world,
mean,
just watch the
biologically,
wrestler.
we actually release pheromones that repulse us from our biological, like, sisters and brothers.
Yeah.
Interesting fact about biology, which I have
Yeah.
plenty of those. You've got the ones about history. I'm sure you have some
Yeah.
historical references about, cultures that have had incest in them, but they're
Yeah.
few and far between, I'm sure.
Well, there's not, well, I mean, it's not even that historical. I mean, old Kanye seems to be doing it as we speak, or
Well,
at least
I don't
was.
think that has to do with attraction or as so much as you run out of shit to get freaky about, like you have so
Yeah.
much money that you just keep that's where the part of it is feeding the beast, feeding these
Yeah.
perversions. And I have a feeling, I have a concept that if the content wasn't there, if they didn't if there wasn't it didn't exist, then they wouldn't watch it. So I'm not making it,
Right. Yeah,
period.
yeah,
No. And so
yeah.
I
I
just
think yeah,
we just flip the script, and they don't care if I do mommy stuff. It just does, it limits, and it does take away money out of my pocket sometimes. But I
yeah,
have to be okay with that in order to like not
yeah,
feel like shit about myself and then go do a bunch of drugs because I feel bad about the decisions I've made. So I'd
yeah. Because
rather,
you could just do drugs and be happy, which is the
I
way to
did
be.
a bunch of ketamine. I did a bunch of that. And I just, which was fun, and it was neuroplasticity. And I was like, but it's, what you can do to a horse on ketamine?
I don't know.
Anything you fucking want.
Jesus. Yeah, I'm
So
sure there's some members of my family that would know that too well.
you can,
Um,
so you can take
my
advantage
God.
of a horse on ketamine type shit.
Well, yeah, 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 yeah.
So,
So,
so there's that,
yeah. So
and
you
and
were on a
that's,
bunch of ketamine.
yeah. Oh yeah, I went to rehab last year in October. And well, for a week I just did the detox, just because
Okay.
I was like, I'm not this person. I was like,
Yeah.
I feel like I'm doing way too many drugs, and this is not who I am. I'm not an addict. I'm
Mhm,
not like this. This isn't not normal. This isn't
mhm.
how I want to be. So I went to detox, and I had to realize, okay, there's things that I'm doing that I'm not listening to my body, and my body's telling me no, and I'm just not listening. So I had to slow down, and
That's
I do a lot of somatics to like help slow down and listen.
Yeah. See, that's the problem is in my body. I think my body doesn't like me all that much because my body tends to always tell me like, "Hey, why don't you keep giving us that?" Like just I think my
Oh,
body's ready to get out of here. You know what
well,
I'm saying?
I think that's not necessarily your body, but also like there's things that will like trick you, like sugar,
Mm.
will trick you into eating more of it, right?
No
Um,
shit.
but for me, it's like my body wants more sleep, and
Mm.
I sometimes like when I listen to it, I have my little aura ring, and it tracks like my sleep and all of like my metrics
Yeah.
and stuff. So,
Right.
on this like 10-day trip, I had 3 scenes and 2 collabs and 2 podcasts and 4 different cities. So I was like, my lymph nodes were getting swollen, and I was like, oh,
Mm.
and I was like getting invited to hang out. Like the band members of Jelly Roll were like, what are you doing? You want to come over and hang out? And they were like doing rehearsals. And I'm like, no, guys, I gotta go to sleep.
Yeah. You probably didn't miss out on much if I had to guess.
And they're fun though. They're cool. We like smoke and chill, and I'm not like a groupie, but to I like to support, so I've been there for like the Big Giffins for years, kind of supporting
Yeah.
and just showing up whenever I can to support their music.
Yeah. If you could go back and be a groupie for any band like in the prime, who would you pick?
Well, funny story is at this point in my life, the band
Uh-huh.
members are like hitting on me. So
Yeah, that's an interesting change. Yeah.
So I had this, okay, I can say it because I looked him up and he's getting a divorce. But Dexter Holland from The
From the
Offspring.
Offspring? Yeah.
Okay, I actually did when I was in 1999. I met him not backstage, but like after. You know how you could wait like by the tour buses,
For
and
sure. Yeah, yeah,
hope
yeah.
to see the band. So 1999, I was 17, and I went to see it's my first concert ever, and I got to meet Dexter Holland. I got a picture with him actually. So
Mhm.
I'm at the AVNs last. No, this is AVNs in January, so a couple months ago. 25 years after that show. And
Mhm.
I'm in the elevator, and I'm taking my dogs, because I'm staying there, and that's what I'm staying at the Virgin where the AVNs are. And I get in the elevator, and I see like this old rocker dude, not old, but this older than me rocker dude. And like this is I didn't recognize him because how sometimes they like put a little bit more weight on than they had in their 20s. Um,
Yeah.
well, I'm not saying anything, right? But that happens. And I had these
Does,
girls that were
yeah.
like, "Oh my god, can I get a picture with you?" And I was like, "Who is this dude?" And then one lady was like, "Oh, I loved your song Gone Away with the Fires." And I was just like, I was like, "Are you Dexter Holland?" He's like, "Yeah." So then we were leaving the elevator, and I was like, "Oh, can I get a picture?" I was like, "Yeah, you're my first concert." And he's like, "Don't age us." I was like, "Us?"
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I look great. And then so I have my little badge on from the AVN, right? So I have this little this little badge on my neck. So I'm like, let's take a picture. So we go to take a
Yeah.
picture, and then he sees my talent, and he's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, are you a porn star?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he goes, "You should get my room number." And I'm like, "Not that kind of porn star." And he just goes,
Yeah.
"Oh." And and I don't want to say I don't blame the guy for trying. I'd have done the same thing. But every time he
Sure.
saw me after that, he like because I have my dog, I take him out all the time. So every time I saw him,
Mm.
he was like kind of avert. I was like, it's okay, man. It's funny to me. But then I was like, am I gonna get him in trouble if I tell the story? And then I saw he's divorcing his wife and she's suing him for she's trying getting like $30 million out of it. I'm like, oh,
Jesus.
well, I can tell the story then, I guess.
Yeah, goddamn, $30 million.
Or I don't
Jesus,
know, some shit. I don't
I
fucking
was
know.
gonna say he's
I
gonna
don't,
have negative
you
$40
know,
million.
I don't fucking pay attention to
No, I
tabloid, or
gotcha.
I don't pay
Yeah,
attention. But she's suing him for money, whatever, and
yeah,
like for being cheated on, which I was like, oh, makes
yeah.
sense.
Oh, it
But
does. Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
you
you were
know,
not the first and probably not the last, if I had to
I
guess.
mean, I wasn't even on the list for the record. That,
Well, I mean, that he tried. Like, yeah,
but
yeah.
but of attempts, yes, yeah.
Yes,
And the
yes,
thing is,
for attempts.
it's funny because like, what am I going to go to your room for? Like,
Well, what do you think?
I know, but like, I'm a porn star. You mean I get Olympic level athlete dick, and you want me to just? You're not even gonna like take me to dinner. I'm hungry. Like I know I'm skinny, but I motherfucking eat. You want to get in my pants? Fill my belly first. Just do that, right? To start there, and then go get a test. Go get an STD test because that's what I require now, and that's the
Yeah,
bare fucking minimum. People are like, "You gonna what's what gonna do to get with you?" I'm like, first, I'm not like a ride at Disneyland. It's not like, hey, I'm gonna go get on the Magic Mountain ride, the Justine Jakobs ride, and go. You have to be this tall. You know what I mean? There's a
well,
lot more
you know,
factors than
pointing
that.
this way, I think, but yeah, that's the I tell you, it'd be a hell of a ride. Six Flags does
Oh
nothing on that. Yeah,
no, I
yeah,
know, and yeah,
yeah,
and
yeah, that's
especially,
the
I mean, I'm not even been in that industry that long, but I know I have a really short learning curve. Let's just say that. So.
yeah, gotcha. Yeah. So where they gotta take you out? Like, if someone was wanting to do this, so what are you talking about? Like a Jack in the Box or something like better than that?
Do I look like I eat Jack in the Box?
Well, you never know. I mean,
No, I
who might
don't eat
who
Jack
might
in the
have
Box.
who well, you might. I mean, some people do.
No, I don't eat Jack in the Box. No,
What got you?
it doesn't have to be fancy, but like what I like more is to have something to do that's not just like going to a bar. You know what I mean? Because I don't really
Yeah,
like alcohol. I am more of a 420 friendly, obviously, and so I don't really like to just hang out at a bar and just get drunk and deal with, or
yeah,
just not get drunk and then deal with drunk people because that's not fun to me. Um,
yeah.
but like, let's go do something. Let's go on a hike. Let me like get to
No,
know you.
I'm already out. Sorry. Jesus.
Let's go surfing. Let's go. Or if we go to a
Double out.
bar, let's have a bar that has games. You know what I mean? Like has some kind of what's it called, the darts.
Darts? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like something,
Cool.
I wanna do something because I like to incorporate physical activity, it's fun for me.
Yeah.
I've recently been rollerblading, so really, if you wanna take me on a date, I've been like, "Who wants to take me on a date rollerblading?"
Well, I'll tell you, I would, yeah, I'd probably take you up on that. I haven't been on a pair of roller skates since I was probably about 8 years old, so I have a feeling
Yeah.
I'm fucked when this happens.
Well,
But
I
yeah,
have all of I have all of, like, the equipment, so I'm protected, I have
are you
my
sure
knee
that's for
pads.
rollerblading or?
These are elbow pads, okay?
Oh, well,
They're
I mean,
not
you
knee
still,
pads.
well, sorry,
Well, actually,
they match
there's
mine.
times
Yeah.
recently I was on a set actually a couple months ago where I asked for something for the blowjob scene. I was like, "Can I put something under my knees?" Because we were in like a classroom and I was like the teacher,
Oh yeah,
I was Miss Justine Jacobs, the teacher, and
of course. Yeah.
I was like, "Can I put something under my knees?" And they go, "No," and I was like, Okay, let me ask again. It's not gonna be a question, but like, what can I put under my knees? Like, I'm not gonna
Right.
sit here,
Yeah.
and they're like, well, there's, you put as long as it's natural to the scene. I'm like, here's the kid's got a backpack. Let me put a backpack underneath my knees, something.
That's
So,
that's
uh,
yeah.
so
That's
just,
I mean, yeah, they're never like you're not even really seeing the person's knees like
yeah,
in
you
the
are. Yeah, I
Oh,
mean,
really?
if you're depending on what angle, if it's like a wide angle, then yeah, and they like to
Oh,
explain
yeah. Yeah, you're
sometimes.
right.
Or the
I'll be honest.
POV, the POV
Uh,
angle. Come
yeah, I
on,
don't think
it's
I've
like when they go and they're like, imagine being like if you're a dude and they're like they go around your
yeah,
shoulder,
if
they're
I
like,
was a dude,
hey,
yeah.
and they're like they're so you're trying to do and they're around and they're breathing in your ear like, open up. They're like, open up, and you're like trying to like go like this while you're having some camera right here. It is,
Right.
it's it's not an easy job for
No, but
them.
it seems thrilling from how you
It
show it.
is.
Uh, yeah.
Yeah, but you do that try to do that for 10 minutes straight when you
10
have if you're
minutes. Fuck me.
yeah. Yeah, if you're
No
well,
chance
and
of
just
that.
that, I'm saying that's just the blowjob part with POV. That's just it.
Yeah.
And we're talking like I had a set. What day is today? Today's Thursday? Yeah,
Yeah.
yesterday or 2 days ago, I had a set that was 10 hours. And we started the sex still pictures, which means the guy's dick is hard, at 5.
Yeah.
We didn't do the pop until 9:30. So that's from like almost 5 hours of him having to have his dick hard pretty consistently. Not the whole
Yeah.
time because that's just physically impossible, but like we had to,
Mm,
and we had to move the camera. So it was VR. So VR is
mhm.
very, very like you can see like 240 degrees with these cameras.
Yeah.
It's very like you can see everything, so you have to start and stop a lot. So that's and you can fluff like so. I'll be a team player and I'll help out. I'm like, yeah, sure, you need a little blowjob, you need some fucking like to get your dick hard because nobody wants to see that part where it's like soft and then it gets hard. That's the part you don't see in porn. That's the part we have to deal with on set.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, so
Yeah. Right.
right. So, and for a
Yeah.
guy to do that under pressure, and then also like the cum shot where you have just people just waiting on you, waiting to end the fucking day. Nobody gets paid till you pop your cum shot. Nobody gets paid. And if you don't do it, then no one will get paid at all. And no pressure, right? No pressure. And
Jesus.
then you have to do it right in the exact perfect spot. Like if you do it and you like, or if you go too early, oh my God, that
Yeah.
happened this week too. I'm not making fun of anybody. I have magic
Yeah.
pussy. I'm not gonna lie, it's magic. But this
Same.
this this dude, we were doing sex stills. We had done we were on second sex still, which means we didn't even started fucking. We're just taking
Right.
pictures. And this dude, I'm sitting on his lap on the writing, and like he goes to like push me off, and I got this table behind me, and I almost smacked my head on the table because he was about to come. And we're like, dude, we still got the sex part. Like, you got to figure this out. So
Wait, can he not just come twice?
some guys can, but like he didn't want to. We were telling him like, do you want to go to the bathroom and take 5 minutes but he was so just Google eyed with my whether he was young, so he's like 22, so some
Well,
like
then
the
he
ones that have
definitely
been
should
in.
have.
Well, the ones that have been in a long time, they figure their shit out. The ones that have been in, like Isaiah Maxwell, I worked with Brad Sterling this past week. They've
Mhm.
been in to 9, 10, 11 years. They know their shit. They know their
Yeah.
body like clockwork, you know. But if you're younger, you're still figuring your stuff out, then it might necessarily not be the case. So,
Yeah, but you would think if you're younger, I mean, you would think pretty much anybody should be able to go at least twice.
yeah, but it's not just going, it's the stopping.
Yeah.
And the waiting for things, and then you do that when your dick's getting soft, and then but you can't. You have to do it. It's a timing thing. It's like you can't just uh, like you can.
Right.
It doesn't matter how long you last. It doesn't matter, these other things when you're just having sex. And
Yeah.
when you're having just sex, it's not the same sex as you're having in porn because it's not always
Right.
that comfortable. Because you have to see it. People always want to know why are the dicks bigger in porn. You want me to tell you the real fucking reason?
What a dumb question.
You
I
have
mean,
to. The number one reason. Other than if we like girls like it better, yeah, whatever. Guys want to see it, yeah.
Yeah.
Number one reason is because you can't see it if it's small, and you got to see it go in and out of the vagina. And if it's,
Yeah.
if you're just, if all that you can get is this, because it's a small, then you can't see it. We're filming an act here that you have to
Yeah.
see. Basically, it's not even that
Geometry.
it's not even that like girls like bigger dicks. It's like, well, because I've had scenes with guys with average size dicks, and
Mhm.
it is a little harder. Haha.
Like,
Ding.
yeah, there you go. I mean, it better be, for God's sakes. If they're not packing much, they better at least
Well,
be,
you think, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, if you're showing up, with like a B team, then you better be the best B team. I'm just kidding, but
Yeah, you better be team captain of the B team at least. Yeah. Yeah.
amen, brother. But yeah, but
Yeah.
I'm not complaining, but it's not bada boom, bada bing. It's not like, oh yeah, one of the most fucking intelligent things a guy ever said on a date with me was like, he goes, I would hate to be a male porn star. That sounds terrible. I was like, you know what? That's the
Yeah.
smartest fucking thing you said, and that gives so much respect to the what we do, really, because it's
Yeah.
honestly at the end of the day, it's a fucking respect thing. Like I could just be a porn star, really. Do you even really know what that
I
means?
yeah, I think the pressure around it is the hard part. I mean, I guess, yeah, like having sex with people filming you is probably not. I mean, that's probably pretty tough for the majority of people, but I think a lot of people probably could do that. But having like okay, we need this to happen right now. Let's go
Right,
on. Like that's
right.
the part where it's like,
Well,
I don't know about that.
because, and science fact, you cannot achieve an erection if you're in a sympathetic fight or flight state of mind. Your
I can.
brain, well, but then
No,
you're not truly in fight or flight.
no,
You're not
no.
truly in fight or flight, because if you are in fight or flight, where you're being attacked by a bear in the woods, your blood
Yeah.
is going to your muscles and it's going to
Right.
your lungs, and your
Yeah.
heart has to beat, because your muscles so that you can fight, your lungs so that you can run. It's not going to your dick,
Yeah. It's
right?
also why, like, if you're a guy working out, which believe it or not, I have, a little bit of experience with that. But if you're a guy like lifting weights or running on a treadmill or whatever, your dick is never smaller than in that moment. Like when you're like working out and lifting weights, your dick is so little because
But who needs a
you're
big
all
dick
your
guy with that's losing a battle because his dick is hard?
huh?
Are you going to lose a battle against a giant bear in the woods because you want to have a boner?
I mean, if you're gonna go out, that would be the way to go out.
Yeah, but winning against the bear in the woods because you have all of your strength, rather
Yes.
than like
And a
trying.
tiny
You know
piece.
what? Because the thing is girls. You know what? The word tiny. It's so, I wouldn't say triggering, but it's so
Mhm.
funny to me, because guys, like, I have guys all the time. They're like, "Oh, my dick's not big enough for you," and I'm like, "I just told you that I want to have sex with you, and then I want to suck your dick. Why do you? Why are you working against me here?" You know, there's
Oh, that's a weird fucking thing to say.
Well, or, oh my
God.
God, do you want to know the weirdest thing somebody said to me after sex? Was
Please.
like, the motherfucker got tested and everything. He comes to my house and tries to fuck me, and then at the end of it, he's like, "So, like, like, what do you like? What do you think? How'd I do compared to like like a porn guy?" And I'm like, he wanted me to compare him against how he did compared to a porn dude. And it was just
Yeah.
like, do you want me to give you a report card? Like, is this, I charge for dick ratings, you know that. Like, so I charge normally $35 for those. Um,
It's not bad.
but I'm like, you want me I'm like, I guess like, what do you
That's
want from me?
I mean, you
Like,
are
it's just,
setting yourself up for it's
I'm
really a
like,
no-win situation because if you said so let's say I was in that situation, I asked you, I said, "Hey, baby, how," or I don't know, that felt weird to say, sorry. But if I said, "Hey, how was I compared to, these other guys?" Porn stars. One, if you said, "Oh, you were better," I'd immediately be like, "Oh, you're fucking lying to me. You're just trying to make me feel better."
and I'm
Or
not
you
gonna lie.
Well, exactly. Or you tell the truth and you go, "Yeah, you're not as good." And then I'm like fucking devastated. So why even
Or
set yourself up? Why even ask that? Like,
Or what do you want to be like? So I told him, I was, because what I do is I tell some truth, which I'm like, well, your endurance is, solid, like, and I was like, if you wanted to do this as a career, like you like maybe look down that road because you're dumb and you can fuck and that's a skill,
yeah,
like, I mean, I'm not saying porn stars are dumb, but I'm saying, you
right.
like this guy didn't have an education. And I was like, you can go do that as like because he was young, right? I'm like, that's what you want to
Yeah.
do. I don't know if you're asking me how you did because like you're interested in the industry or
Yeah,
if you
like, is he
just want to.
auditioning? Yeah.
Do you want an ego boost or do you want to know? Because and people want
It's
to
an
know.
ego boost. It
Yeah,
has
and
to be for the ego boost.
I mean, and I'm not here for either. I'm not here to boost your ego. That's why
Yeah.
people are like, why don't you have sex with random civilians? I'm like, we call them civilians. And it's like, well,
Yeah.
because
Just
most of the time they're always in their head or they're thinking about themselves. And I squirted one
mhm.
time with one of my ex-boyfriends. He got tested for me and I went back and fucked him again. And I was like, I'm gonna see if this dude can like tell. So I like squirted on. First of all, he moved from position to position way too fast. It's like we were in each position 90
Mm,
seconds. And I'm like,
mm.
how can I have time to come if you're doing that? And you're
That's
like
a good point.
not like that. You're not holding, so sometimes they like a quickie because I just did the flush mechanic yesterday and there's like a 5-minute video and it was very quick. But like,
Yeah.
but he made the moves count. He's like making sure his dick gets all the way, and just enjoying the moment. But these guys are like bam 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 bam, and then I squirted on him, and then he like didn't say anything, and then afterwards he's like, "Did you squirt on me?" I'm like, "You should know that answer."
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, I
it's
feel like that's usually an obvious thing to
yeah,
know.
yeah,
Oh boy.
yeah.
I mean, what this is God. Yeah. I mean, why are I don't know why it is that most guys are just so fucking weird. And I know I'm weird. I'm very
Mhm.
weird in a lot of ways. But god damn, I would never say some shit like that. I'll say some other shit that will probably raise a couple of flags. No, trust me. But
Absolutely. I mean, but it's
yeah,
just it's pick your poison, and if I ask stupid
yeah,
questions all the time. I asked
yeah.
this guy yesterday. I was like, "Well, are your tattoos real?" And he's like, he had
Holy
writing.
fuck.
Well, he had writing all over his legs, and it looked like someone took a Sharpie and wrote a bunch of shit all over his legs. And he was like, "Do you think
Uh,
somebody did that?" And I was like, "Honestly, you're the type of guy I wouldn't put that past. Like you sitting there for 4 hours letting somebody write Sharpie all over your legs. Like I don't know. It's
well,
about."
that's fair. You know how they say, they always like tell you when you're a kid, they say like, feel free to ask any question. There's no such thing as a stupid question.
Right.
That's a real lie. Because
Well,
I've heard
no,
some real
yeah,
stupid questions in my life.
yeah,
I'm like, now
but
how the fuck? Yeah.
mainly from stupid people. And the further that statement
Yeah.
is, there's no such thing as a stupid question. All these
Only
stupid
stupid
people.
people. Yeah.
and
Only
I'm not,
stupid people
I'm
asking
not,
questions that are
and
yeah.
I'm not saying being smart works to my advantage all the time. It's not always like a good thing. Sometimes it works against you. If you overthink
Yeah.
things or if you
Yeah.
like think instead of act sometimes, or like you overthink stuff
Oh
or
yeah.
yeah, so yeah, but it's funny. There's a lot of different kind of people out in the world. I enjoy the people that I work with because there's just a mutual respect there
Yeah.
that I find in the industry that's refreshing.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, that is like just a real big downside of being in the industry that you're in is that a lot of people outside of that industry, just don't have that kind of respect, you know? Like they hear what you do and they immediately come to some sort of judgment instead of just like looking at it as a like I wouldn't judge somebody for saying they had another like any other kind of job. Like why the fuck would I judge that one? But anytime you put sex into something, people it goes back to their
Right.
old Puritan, like
Well, and
1950s
projections.
views.
And
Yeah.
people project of what they would do in that situation or how they would feel in the situation. And I feel it's just a lot of lack of understanding that if
Yeah.
people really understood what it is about my job or what it is that how I'm able to kind of separate my emotion, because I'm a very emotional person. So how is it that I could go have the most intimate form of connection with people and walk away from it, and I'm not attached to these guys? Like, I'm not like,
Yeah.
I don't want to have this porn star be my boyfriend, because that's not what happens. And for me, I'm able to really leave it all on the field, because to me, it's a sport, and I'm a
Yeah.
professional athlete. And I really do. I have like this anatomy book that I actually pull out that, like, I'm like, so where, and I was fucking Isaiah Maxwell the other day, and this dude has like the longest dick. It's like not girthy, so it can go really far. So like he was
Mhm.
talking to me about how he gets it all the way in, because I'm like, where? I'm like, don't you hit like the back of the vagina at some point? Like, where does it
Yeah.
go? And he was telling me, he's like,
The
no, there's like a point where you can actually get it further. And you apply a little bit of pressure, and then once you're there, then I was like, oh, okay, that's how you. But he knows.
Jesus.
He knows this, and and he goes, and it doesn't go up; it wraps around. And I was like, this
For
fucking.
fuck's sake. Let me tell you, that is not a thought I have ever had about myself once in my life. It's like, where am I
But
gonna fit all of this?
But for me, I'm like, where am I gonna get hurt? Like, how far can,
Oh, yeah.
because it happened one time, his dick went way too far down my throat, and I had like, I think I swear to God, I sprained my jaw because I couldn't chew for the next 3 days. I was like, it like hurt
Yeah,
because
yeah,
I
yeah.
just did too much face fucking, so I could hurt myself, and I'm trying to not do that. So
It's yeah, it's a hazard, a work hazard, you know? Like
yeah,
construction
yeah.
workers, they have hazards, like
Don't do pile driver as a porn star. You can hurt your neck.
exactly. That's why it's banned from professional wrestling. Actually, speaking of this, I had a little game that I was going to do with you just for
Sure.
fun. I've never even
Yeah.
tried this, but I was like, fuck it. Because I was watching some wrestling, which should be pretty obvious that I'm a fan of wrestling just by looking at me.
Well, and
Um,
then how you pronounce it, that's for sure. We all know
well, yeah,
that
I
losing
know
at
that's
wrestling.
once you add an A instead of an E in there, I mean, yeah. Now, granted, I am just, we were talking about like inbreeding and all that shit. Inbreeding runs real deep in my family. So there's just
Oh
white
no.
trashness everywhere. So
Ah,
wrestling comes from. So anyway, so I was watching wrestling the other night and I was like, God damn, they all sound like fucking porn star names. Like all the wrestling names sound like porn star names. So I was going to see if I gave you a name, could you tell me if they were a wrestler or a porn star?
ooh, I don't know I don't know a lot of the
No,
all
you
the
don't
porn
have to.
stars. So
You
no,
don't
I
have
know.
to.
So
This
we'll
is
see.
just this
So
is just a
yeah, let's
guess,
do
just
it.
what
Let's
you
do
think.
it.
All right. So first one, Tiffany Stratton. Do you think that's a porn star or a professional wrestler?
It sounds like a wrestler.
Is that
I
your
don't know.
answer?
Yeah.
Yeah, wrestler. Good job.
Yeah.
God damn.
Yeah.
Okay. Addison James.
Sounds like a porn star.
Yeah, it's a porn star. Fucking goddamn, you're actually doing. All right. Okay. Alexa Bliss,
Porn star.
wrestler. That's
Interesting.
a
Nice. That's a
wrestler
good,
name.
yeah.
Alexa Bliss. I mean,
Okay,
my
yeah.
God.
All right.
All right. Freya Von Doom.
That's a wrestler.
That is a porn star.
Is it? Oh, she must be like some BDSM or some Dom type shit.
I
That's
mean,
great.
I
So
don't know,
you
but
can't
isn't that
tell. It's very hard.
exactly? Isn't
Yeah.
that yeah? I was like watching. I was like, God damn, all of these, like the guys. I mean, there was a few of the guys where I was like, fuck me, like they all have porn star names. Like it's just how it is. Yeah, yeah. Like
That's
that's
crazy.
incredible.
Yeah, I actually
Yeah,
was in town during WrestleMania, which was a pain in the ass just because of traffic. But I
hell
was
yeah.
in Vegas was it last weekend? Yeah.
Yeah, it was last. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I was watching was good old WrestleMania.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
holy
Well, I was
balls.
there, and fucking
Yeah,
longest car rental line I've ever been to. I fucking hate Harry Reid Las Vegas International Airport. Is the I have
yeah,
missed so many flights from that fucking airport. Oh my god, I didn't get my rental car for like 3 hours. Thank God I didn't have my dog, 'cause he would have hated me. Um, but yeah,
yeah.
there's definitely Sin City's got its own little, thing going on, and there's benefits
Vegas
to
is
going there.
awesome.
Vegas is Vegas
Yeah, I
is
love Vegas.
Vegas is another interesting place.
Yeah, it
I have
doesn't make
fun there.
sense.
I have fun there. I like the restaurants. I like shooting there when I shoot scenes. There's some cool directors out there and stuff.
Yeah.
But But I like the shows. I'm not really a gambler. I don't like
Mm.
uh when my money leaves me. I get
But it
very
might
upset.
not. But it might not leave you. You might
Um,
actually end up with a lot more money.
you
See?
know,
That's the
I know my
fun.
strengths, and my strengths honestly, like, because I was a stripper for so long, like I'm really good at, like, I can tell when a guy wants to get a lap dance from me, but I can't tell what he's got in his hand behind the cards. And like, I'm good at math, but I'm not good
Well
at like cards for some reason. I suck
well,
so bad. So, and
yeah.
I want to hold the money, and I want to watch
Uh-huh.
people who are good at poker win.
Okay. Well, you
That's
can do
all I
that.
want to do. Yeah, that's all I
I mean, you
want
could
to do.
just go and watch
Yeah,
or,
that's
like,
all
go to,
I
like, a
do.
craps table and just cheer with everyone.
I want to know strategy. So I like to know, like I like to learn something. I'm like, is this 100%
Yeah.
chance, or is this math? Are you doing statistics in your head? What's going on?
Well, some
Because
of it is. Some of it's math,
yeah,
like blackjack is if you can
yeah,
really figure it out, it's all math.
yeah,
I mean, it's
yeah,
still not 100%. It's not 100 or it's not a guarantee that you'll win every single time, but it is a guarantee that you will win the majority, so you end up walking away with more than what
yeah.
you have. But you're still
If
gonna
you
lose here and
understand.
there, but yeah, but you have to be able to count cards, which is a I
And
I
plus or minus one isn't that hard, but you have to count. You have to be
huh,
able to shuffle, stack, and hold.
yeah.
You have to
But
know
it's
the
also not
multiples.
just plus and minus. It's like you also have to be
Right,
able to you're also doing division in your head too because you're
right,
dividing like by 9 or some shit. I don't know. I
yeah,
remember whenever I was like 14, I read a book on how to count cards, which was
yeah.
what a waste of time for a 14-year-old to do. But
And varied interests.
well, I remember I watched that movie 21. I don't know if you
Yeah.
remember that with Kevin Spacey, where he's hanging out with, young people and
Oh
not
yeah, the college kids.
diddling them.
He had them
Yeah.
go and be like this card counter for him.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's Kevin Spacey hanging out with a bunch of young men, but
Sounds about right.
in a different way. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Um,
Yeah. Wasn't
yeah,
he
he
an American? Yeah, he was a gay in American Beauty. I think that was the first.
American Beauty. Yeah, wherever he has a thing for his daughter's teenage friend,
Yeah, yeah,
which
real
is
creepy. Just
interesting.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
That's a
was
great movie though.
it was.
I
It was
yeah.
it was beautiful. It was beautiful. It really was poetic.
Yeah.
I
If you
remember my
if you could do a porn version of any movie, what would you pick? Like those like porn spoofs, like Edward Penis Hands and all that stuff. What do you think
okay.
you'd do?
What's the movie where they're in the supermarket and it's like we the non-perishables, and it's like they're in the supermarket.
Sausage Party?
Yeah,
You talking about the cartoon?
yeah, yeah.
Well, I mean, how would you do that? Would you just dress up as
Like
like
people, yes,
a
like
honey
wearing
bun
like
or something?
mustard and then like having a dick, like a little, and then because it was already like like sexual innuendos and stuff, and I just think it'd be
Yeah.
really funny to see people dressed as a hot dog and hot
Ah,
dog buns, and then backing it up to like some hot dog in a package of like
I'm
you
with
know
you. I'm with
so
you.
and then
Yeah.
it could just be super fun because I think the most fun porn scenes are the ones. Okay, I'm gonna tell you one I just did. It was like a Little Red Riding Hood spoof where we were fucking the
Okay.
big bad wolf. You know what I mean? And it was like the
Yeah.
most fun because it's like really weird, right? So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. See,
you
werewolf
know,
vampire shit, I can get behind that anytime. I have like
yeah.
kind of a vampire fetish. Yeah, yeah, a
Well,
little bit of that. Yeah.
go based on Twilight. I don't know how old you are, but that was pretty. That was
Well,
pretty prevalent.
Twilight. Yeah, I mean, I'm more like Lost Boys. I don't know if you ever saw that
Oh,
movie back in the day, but with Kiefer Sutherland and
uh,
Corey Haim,
well,
Corey Feldman.
The Goonies were the Goonies.
Well, there weren't any vampires in the Goonies, I don't think. But
No, but
but
I've been
There was a Corey Feldman in it though.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah.
there's a connection. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm into the dragon porn now. The Rebecca
What the fuck?
Yaros. Dude,
What's
I've got these books. See these books up there on my bookshelf?
uh-huh. Yeah,
I've
yeah.
read three of them. They're 500-page books. I've read three of them in the past 2 months because and they have like a little bit of sex. There's some steamy scenes, but it's like this
Yeah.
fantasy shit, and there's definitely some spicy scenes in there, and all these
Yeah.
like moms, like my sister and like her friends, are like, you need to read this book. We need to talk to
Yeah.
you about this book. And it's like, and you're like, they are fucking, and there's definitely a lot of sex scenes in there, but
They're
it's like
fucking
from,
dragons?
no, they're fucking each other, but they ride dragons.
Oh.
They like ride dragons, and basically they're part of this world that, it's fighting for these, it's fighting, and it has like there's a little territory, it's a
Uh,
really pretty cool universe that she's created. And there's like a rebellion, and of course, these teenagers, these kids are in a school where they're being taught how to, and they get powers from their dragons, where they can like either harness lightning, or they can, like turn water into ice, and some of
yeah.
them can like move things, what's it called, like with your brain. There's all different types of
Telepathy? Telekinesis. Telekinesis
telekinesis.
was
Yeah, there's
most
all
what you
different
mean,
types of
yeah.
like, powers that they get, and they develop them as they're in this school. So it's really cool. It's a kind of a coming of age kind of story as
Yeah.
well.
I like
So
it. You wanna hear something kind of embarrassing about me that I've never, said out loud? So
yeah.
whenever I was about 13, I completely convinced myself that if I tried hard enough, that I could move something with my mind.
Yeah,
Like, really
honestly,
thought I could do it. I was like, "There's no way that people have been talking about it for hundreds and thousands of years if there isn't some truth to it." Like, maybe there is some sort of, like, spiritual, supernatural realm that I could tap into if I tried, like, it was that, 10% of your brain versus 100% of your brain, which is also bullshit, by the way, but, um, what I'm talking about, like,
yeah,
the
the
thing,
like you take one
we
pill
only
and you
use
unlock all this bullshit.
well,
Yeah.
yeah, well, the quote is the
You only use 10% of your
humans,
brain, blah blah.
yeah, which is
Yeah.
not
No, we
true.
use more than that.
We use 100% of the brain all the
Yeah, we
fucking
use,
time, just in
right.
different parts. But
We just don't optimize certain cognitive patterns in our
right,
brains.
so I
But
thought I was gonna be able to optimize the ability to move something with my brain. So I sat with, like, a pencil on my table and just stared at this fucking thing for probably 3 hours, and
that's so funny.
I
You
swear
know,
to God, I got it to move.
no,
Swear to God.
I really
Yeah,
honestly, like, if you think about it, energy is neither created nor destroyed, it just transfers form. That's the first law of thermodynamics.
yeah.
The I had studied biochemistry, and we actually had this class of biometry that talked about, like, there's the known knowns, there's the unknown, like there's the known knowns that we know, but then there's
Oh,
unknown unknowns, the things that we don't know that we don't know. With that,
uh-huh.
you don't know, like, everything's energy, everything's frequency. If everything is frequency, there might be frequencies we don't understand and levels that we can't measure.
Yeah,
That doesn't, I mean, that puts anything possible, right? So, I mean,
exactly.
do you remember the light as a feather, stiff as a board thing?
Hell yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
still don't know how that works. Like,
Well,
I've been wanting to try that with someone for so long,
we would try
and
that
I
at
can't.
sleepovers. That should never
Well,
work.
well, you might find this hard to believe. I didn't get invited to a whole lot of sleepovers.
You know.
Still don't. Um, yeah,
Well, shucks.
yeah, I know.
Well,
But
not with the boys. Y'all can, get the new, something came out at GameStop today, because there were boys in, was it, there's some something that came out today, like Overwatch or some oversight,
I
some
could
something. But there were dudes
could
lined up
yeah.
for hours. I got to the hair salon like 10 something, and I left at like noon. And there were boys sitting there the whole time in the line. I was like, some games
Yeah.
coming out today. There's no overnight sleepovers with the PlayStation. No.
No, I mean, I mostly just played with myself in, well, more ways than one. But yeah, no, I was not sleeping over with the fellas playing games. No, no. It
Oh well.
was pretty much just me and my mind all the time, which
Well, that's a
I don't
dangerous
think worked
combination.
out. Yeah, it didn't work out too well. Still hasn't. But what can you do? But I swear to God, I might have to grab, because now I do have a couple of friends. Um, and I might have to get them all gathered up one day and play Lives of Feather Stiff as a board. Like, I want to figure out how do we do this bullshit? Because there's some trickery to this. Like, you're just lifting someone up like with your fingertips.
Yeah, you just put your fingertips, and it's like you kind of surround the body, and then you all kind of just say it at the same, it's like chant at the same time.
Yeah.
Um, back when I used to watch, like, The Craft came out in, like, the late
Oh yeah,
90s, so I was
hell yeah,
watching that because and I did a little bit of witchcraft and, like, had some, like, not voodoo dolls, but I did, like, spells and stuff, only for
yeah,
good, only white magic,
right,
not
yeah,
the other stuff, you
yeah,
gotta
yeah,
just think about your karma,
yeah, yeah,
you know,
for sure.
but, but I think that there is a little bit of, I had a near death experience. I pretty much believe anything like that, and I do a lot of somatic work, which is really like this new kind of woo woo stuff that's
Hmm.
really interesting. And like a couple weeks ago, I even had like kind of a precognition moment where
Yeah.
I was doing this guided meditation in a group of women, and like I even like my because it's really hard for me to do meditation, and I was
Yeah.
and my brain was like, "Da, da, 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 da. What about this boy? And think about this sin and think about this stupid stuff." I was like,
That's why you
"Shut
should
up,
do
brain."
meditation.
I was like, "Shut up, brain." So I remember opening my palms up and just like trying to tell my brain to stop. And then I locked into this meditation and started visualizing something I use in my somatic practice. And then the girl who was guiding the meditation she started like, I was like, I would visualize something and then she would say to visualize it. And then that
Oh,
kind of, and then that happened again. And then she said to visualize this, like the second thing, I was like, wait a minute, I'm, I know what she's about to say before she says it. Like,
yeah.
it would just pop into my head like I was just all of a sudden like I was thinking of these waterfalls and then she's like, "Now vision a waterfall." I was like,
Jesus.
that's, that's really weird. And I didn't think anything
Yeah.
of it. And then I saw myself surrounded by this waterfall. And then she's like, "Imagine yourself surrounded by waterfalls." Like, wait a
Fucking
minute,
hell.
that's
That's weird.
weird. Yeah, but it was like, but then I realized in that moment, I'm like, this is it. This is what people mean, like the present moment and locked in. I was like,
Yeah.
this is it. Like, this is me locked in.
Maybe you're a precog. Have you ever seen Minority Report?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, maybe
Well,
somebody's gonna come shave your head and stick you in a bowl of milk like they did with those girls.
I just got my extensions out, so please do not traumatize me talking about more hair stuff.
I'm just saying that's what they did to Samantha Morton and her, whatever those other two were.
I
They were
already
predicting a
feel
crime.
like I know it looks like a lot of hair, but it feels really fine. It's really fine. So I feel naked without my extensions. But I know they look
Hmm.
pretty because I've been looking at myself this whole time.
Yeah, I'm. I mean, if I had to choose between the two, I'd be looking at you as well. I'll be honest. Yeah, can't blame you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I do.
yeah.
Yeah. I,
You
I
know, in Minority Report, because I watched this the other day. If because so you have seen that movie. You know how they're
I
predicting
love, yeah,
crimes.
I love Tom Cruise movies. Yeah.
Oh yeah, hell yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I
I
don't
mean,
care that he's into Scientology and stuff. I don't care what all weird shit
he's a
he's
good
doing.
actor. He's a
He's
great
still Tom
actor.
Cruise.
He is. Did y'all see the second Top Gun? Like, oh my god! Like
Maverick.
he's
That was a
he's
good one.
he's fucking great.
Cocktail. Cocktail's a great movie if you haven't seen that.
No, I
It's
haven't.
where he's
I
like
haven't.
flipping the bottle. It's old, like
But risky
88, I
business
think.
with the underwear and this, like in the
And
dancing.
Bob Seger. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah,
Yeah. Like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm, I don't care.
I'm
Whatever. Do
with you.
whatever you want.
No,
Just,
I'm with you.
honestly,
Yeah.
I still think we should be able to sing R. Kelly songs. I mean, I think that the what's it called? The royalties should go to the victims, right? He shouldn't be making money anymore
Mm.
off of the songs, but we should be able to sing them.
Oh, I still do. I
I
don't
know,
give a
but people
shit.
are like, "Ooh, R. Kelly." I'm like, does he still making money off this song? Because I'm just singing. I'm not doing a Spotify. There's no, you know what I mean. There's no
Yeah.
residual income being
Well,
deposited in
yeah.
his bank account. And if there is, that money should go to the victims that he perpetrated, right? I'm not saying he's a good guy. I'm saying I should be able to sing songs.
I wonder where the money does go. It doesn't
That's
go to him because he's an inmate, right? Like, doesn't it go to his estate?
that
I
doesn't
wonder.
mean that they don't make money. It
Well,
doesn't
no, I
mean
know
that
they
he
still make
doesn't have.
money, but
Well, it doesn't mean he wouldn't have like a manager. Like just because you're a criminal
right,
doesn't mean that
right.
people stop working with you. That just means they
Yeah,
publicly denounce you, But but if their
yeah,
money's to be made, they're still hands in the cookie jar, So if the
yeah. I
money
just
doesn't go to
wondered if
him, it goes to an LLC and it goes to some sort of business. And I don't know. I don't know any of that
right,
shit, but
right.
that's
No,
what
no,
I'm
I'm
saying
with you.
should happen. I'm trying to offer
Yeah,
solutions. can't have
I'm
solution
with you.
focus.
I think it's a great solution. I think, yeah, that's what they should do with any shit like that is if
Yeah.
you're making money off of it in some way, but you're a piece of shit who's, in prison for doing some shit like that,
Yeah.
you
You
don't
know, like
get any of that.
The Dahmer parents, the Dahmer dad, Jeffrey Dahmer's dad wrote a book,
Yeah.
and then I think they were sued by the victims. Also, that was
Mhm.
very racially charged. The fact
Mhm.
that Dahmer wasn't found, like he had, oh my god, I know you're a history buff, so I don't know if you know if you're a serial
Uh-huh.
killer history buff,
Oh,
dude,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
how there was a guy that actually like went that he was, first of all, he was a sex predator, like
Yeah.
he was a convicted sex criminal, and like he there was a victim that was found by the cops, and the cops gave them back to Dahmer
Mhm.
because he was a black kid that was
He was
unintelligible,
Filipino, but yeah,
or
yeah.
he was a little, he was an ethnic, he was,
Yeah, right, right,
don't
right.
cancel
But
me.
yeah,
Yeah, but he
I'm
was
not saying
not white.
no, yeah, no,
He was
exactly. No,
not white.
well, neither were the majority of his victims. Most of his victims were minorities and
Well, and it
a
wasn't
lot of
because he preyed upon those ethnicities specifically. From my understanding, it's because he
Mhm.
lived in an underprivileged area, and that's
Well,
just what was there. And it was because he didn't have a car, and he would walk to these bars.
yeah. Yeah, he lived in a really shitty part of Milwaukee, which
Yeah,
at the time is obviously it was, a lot of
right,
minority people that lived like around him.
right. And
And
then
but growing up he lived in a pretty, middle class. But
well, that's why
at that time,
his first
but
couple
his
murders were white.
were white, exactly. So like
Yeah,
once he
right,
moved out on his
right,
own and is living in this like low income
right.
place. Yeah, yeah,
You know, and also it was the nature by which he got his victims. You know, he would offer them
yeah.
money for sex. Normally, you know, I mean, there are people of different ethnicities that do that, but normally it's just that is a class thing. That's more of a,
Yeah,
you know, um,
right.
and that's just kind of, and it was just, I was watching one of his documentaries, and I couldn't watch because it was the perspective of the kid who was deaf, and
Yeah.
that kid, oh
Oh
my god, that broke
God.
my heart, and how he was so happy, and I was like, oh my, I cannot watch this because
Yeah.
that was too sad.
That's
That was too heartbreaking. Because
that's a
oh
rough
man,
one.
yeah,
Yeah.
because it's not that anybody ever deserves to, but it's just
Yeah.
some deaths are just worse to, to hear about. They're more,
Yeah,
you
some are
know,
more heartbreaking. Is I
yeah,
know that sounds weird because it's
yeah,
heartbreaking regardless, but
yeah. It's
some
all
are
terrible,
worse.
but
Yeah,
yeah,
some just they hit you harder for
yeah,
some reason because some people they're already almost a victim of circumstance already,
right.
and
And
so
the
now
fact he
you
was
add
like,
this other level
and
to it.
it,
It's like,
yeah, and you just wanted him to succeed, and just to like, and all he wanted was to connect with people,
yeah,
and that's what got him killed. And it's like, oh man, and
yeah,
I relate to that. Not, I'm like, I relate to that seeking,
yeah,
connection. And this guy was such a sociopath. That's why he
yeah,
wasn't caught for so long, because they actually, I think, from my understanding, they actually they changed a lot of what they were looking for based on
mhm,
what happened in this case, because they thought that anybody who committed a crime was going to be having their heart racing and like
yeah,
frantic, and they didn't realize that you can go murder somebody and turn around and be like, hello officer, how are you?
yeah, yeah.
you know
Well, yeah, because
so
if you're a sociopath, like a lot of those functions don't
right,
behave the same way that like a normal person. Like if me or you killed somebody, we'd be freaking out. Like, but we're not
right.
sociopaths as far as I know. But
Well, is it a
yeah,
psychopath thing? Because the sociopath or the
well, so,
psychopaths,
yeah,
psychopaths can emulate. Sociopaths, I think, still feel, they're not able to get along in public. They're not as able to adjust. Psychopaths, from my understanding, a lot of like high, like CEO, high level, because they can function and pretend
yeah,
that they're normal, but
right, right.
they
Well,
really be like, what's that American Psycho movie?
yeah, American Psycho. Yeah, Patrick
Yeah, that
Bateman.
guy. Patrick
Yeah,
Bateman, they'd go Patrick
yeah.
Bateman your ass. So
Yeah, well,
yeah.
that's true. And sociopaths are more like just zero regard for human emotions. They don't even feel those human
But
emotions. Like
also
the
sociopaths are
socio is
easier,
more
but they're
behavior
easier to
based.
spot. Yeah, and they're easier to
Yeah,
spot
yeah, 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 for
because
sure.
they don't fit in public. So not
Right.
that that's easier to not be victimized, but it's easier to be like, this is not normal. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah,
So I
exactly.
don't know.
Yeah.
I love that stuff. I watched Criminal Minds. Oh my god, I'm so excited for the new the
Yeah.
new season to come out. So, I mean,
Yeah.
not that that stuff's all real, but you know,
No. No, I do watch a lot of shit. Like I love true crime stuff.
yeah.
Massive like forensic file. I used to watch that Unsolved Mysteries back in the day,
Oh
Robert
man,
Stack. Holy
yeah.
hell.
Dun,
Yeah.
dun, dun, dun. What's that?
Oh yeah.
Dun 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 dun
Yeah.
dun.
Yeah.
Is that it?
No,
Dun dun
I
dun
think
dun
that's
dun dun.
no, that's not
These
Unsolved
cons
Mysteries.
based on a true
That's
story.
Law and Order.
Oh yeah, that's Law and Order.
That's
Yeah,
a
it's
dun dun
like
dun
some
dun dun dun.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Like what is
Yeah,
it?
yeah,
There's
that's
some
Law and
sort of
Order. It's
yeah.
like the names and
These stories are based on a true something.
yeah, the
They're
names and
protect-
places have been changed, but the
yes,
or
to
something.
protect the
Yeah, it's some.
innocent. The
Yeah,
names have been changed to protect the innocent.
yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
God,
Yeah. And
yeah,
I would be like, what do I do to not be on the show? You know?
yeah,
That's like,
yeah,
and I grew up in Houston, so there's a lot of like, not so much murders, but it's a city and there's danger. And it's more
yeah,
like situational to try to like make
yeah.
sure that you're, not getting mainly shit stolen from your car. So like you just don't leave your lock, take,
Mhm.
hide everything. 'Cause people be stealing from you in Texas, They know everybody's got
Yeah,
guns, but like they know they probably probably have it on you.
yeah. It's not as much of a deterrent as people think. Like, as somebody who grew up in Texas, like in kind of the backwoods, people get their shit broken into all the time,
Right.
and
But
it's
it's
just,
less
I mean,
likely to
having
be
guns doesn't matter.
but
Usually,
in
that's what people are trying to steal.
No, but
People's
in
guns.
Texas, the difference is they be breaking into your shit when you're not there, more
Yeah,
so than when you're there, because they know when you're there, that's when you have the guns ready to shoot people.
yeah,
Then they'll break into your car, right? But they're not necessarily going to break into, so they're more likely to burgle rather
yeah,
than rob. So robbery is when somebody's present, and burglary is when there's nobody home or there's nobody present, and you just go try to steal.
yeah. Oh,
So
really?
that's what
That's
I
the
found.
difference?
Yep. Mainly from my
Huh.
understanding,
Yeah,
robbery,
yeah,
you actually have to have a person present. There's robbery, like robbery with armed robbery and then unarmed robbery. So you can just be like
yeah.
going and stealing stuff. But then
Mhm.
burglary is you can burgle me anytime. I mean, preferably, please don't. But I'd
Yeah,
rather
yeah.
that than be present, when you're
Right,
stealing my
right.
shit. Right.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
so
It's like
there's that.
assault and battery. There's, the difference is like battery is if it's physical, assault isn't. Or there's some like different I mean, that's not the thing, but there is like some distinction between assault and battery because I just thought it just meant the same fucking thing.
Huh.
But
No, I
like
think
there
it's
is a difference.
interesting. Yeah, it's interesting. I
Yeah.
know people that study the difference. Like one of my brothers is like, he's like, so that's this, and this is this, and this is a misdemeanor, and this is a felony. And then when you do this
Yeah.
together, then it's a felony. I'm like, oh,
Right, right.
good to
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah. Well,
the
my
guy going
brother's
around
yeah.
committing
My
felonies.
Yeah, my granddad was a lawyer and my brother's a cop, so, like, I'll always
Oh,
hear, like, some, like, interesting shit like that where I'm like, "Huh, I didn't know
yeah.
that was, like," which is crazy, like, you know, it is interesting, like, a lot of things that people get arrested for, it's like, "How the fuck am I supposed to know that that's illegal?"
Oh, like
How am
taking
I
like
expected to know that
like being in Oklahoma and like going and buying beer in Texas and then bringing it back to
well,
Oklahoma.
yeah, there's,
Felony.
that's illegal?
That's a felony.
Oh, well, yeah. Oh, I didn't know it was I guess it would be a felony because 'cause you're
Because
crossing a state line.
Oklahoma has a
Yeah,
different percentage. They have lower percentage of beer. So if you go and you're like, get the beer with the star on it because your dad
yeah,
tells you to, and then you put it in your aunt's trunk and then you go across
yeah,
state line,
that's a
you
felony.
just did a felony and you were aiding and abetting or your dad.
Jesus.
But hey, if you're under 18, if you're under 17, if you're just a
Yeah.
minor.
Yeah, get it
So
expunged. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the amount of underage drinking I did and all kinds of shit like that, I miss it so much. Actually, drinking got really boring once I turned 21,
well,
and I
drinking
was like,
got
"This is
terrible when I
nowhere
started
near as
getting
fun."
try when you turn 40 and you get like hangovers the day of.
Jesus.
Yeah.
That's bad.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah, I could tell like the other day I was in Vegas and I had like two drinks and then I went
Mhm.
and I had one more drink and my limit is two. And I was like, why do I had no, it's because high noon. I had two high noons and I had a third high noon. And I was like, why do I have a headache? Why do I have a fucking headache? There's the third hangover. It's like I can't do 3 drinks or I will have a
Yeah,
headache the day of. It doesn't even wait until the end.
that's amazing.
Yeah.
God.
So,
Yeah,
yeah.
I started getting horrible hangovers, like, before I quit drinking, like, there was, like, a period where I had such bad hangovers that would last, like, 2 days. So I'd be like, "Fuck this, I'm just gonna keep drinking so that the hangover I don't feel the hangover." And then I was like, "Alright, this is fucking ridiculous." So I just
Yeah.
quit,
Yeah,
but
especially
yeah,
with,
it
like,
was
wine, that shit is, oh my gosh,
oh,
it's bad.
God, a wine hangover is horrible. Wine is a rough one, but
Yeah.
a beer hangover's the worst. Like, you knock down about 30 natural lights, that
Oh,
hangover
natty
is
lights,
not
ugh.
great.
I like my Blue Mountains, when I
I have
do
no idea
beer.
what that is.
It's the Coors. They have the Blue Mountains to
Oh,
make sure
cool.
that
Oh,
they're
okay,
like
okay.
that they're well,
Gotcha.
also the Lone Stars, you used to have the Lone Star with a little
Lone
puzzle,
Stars, yeah, of
the little
course. Yeah,
puzzle
yeah,
on the beer
yeah,
cap. Those were fun, you know?
yeah, Lone Star's a good option. Yeah, I always went with the old Natty Lights. It was, yeah,
Cheap,
cheap,
cheap.
and I could drink, like I could just get 2 18 packs and
Oh,
knock them both down in one night and
it sounds
sleep like a baby. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, and then yeah, and then yeah, I don't know. I try to get done with alcohol. Like if I drink, I'll drink it like 6 or 7 so I'm done by like 8 or 9 so that way it doesn't like affect my sleep cuz I like to pretend to be an old person now, which serves me really well like in the industry because it just makes it where I'm able to sustain it,
Yeah.
and not like burn out because I've been in for like a year and a half and almost yeah, in October will be 2 years. So but it's important to like for me to be able to be I don't know, not just like I can't keep up because I'm like 43. So these are like kids that are like, I'm gonna go out to Jack Doherty's house and have a bottle. And then they like go to set the next day. And yeah, I'm like, I can't do that. I'm too old for that shit.
Yeah. Yeah, but, I think you're living a more fulfilling life. You're not missing out by going to and doing shit like that. It's kind of the
Yeah.
one thing I started to figure out was like, oh, nothing is happening. Nothing
Yeah.
cool or fun is actually
Well,
happening at any of these places.
that's what I've noticed is like, especially because I don't like to drink, so, like, when I am out there, it's just and people because 'cause I'd be with my ex-boyfriend, sometimes, and
Mhm.
they'd be, like, drinking, because East Texas boys, they'll put them down, and they'll hang out by a fire, and the next day, they're
Mhm.
like, "That was so funny, we should have recorded it," or, like
Yeah.
and I'm like, "I was there, and
Yeah.
it wasn't that funny. You guys were telling the same story and interrupting each other, and you didn't actually ever finish the story. I don't even know. You guys just talked about stuff and then would laugh and interrupt each other, and nobody was
Mhm.
listening to each other. It wasn't that interesting. So,
Yeah.
nothing good happens like what past midnight is like the phrase.
Yeah.
I say, yeah, I'm
True.
like by 10:30, I'm ready to watch the back of my eyelids. So,
Yeah. I'm with you. I have a few random questions for you, before we
absolutely
go. If you could make any food 0 calories, what would it be? Like,
fried chicken.
oh, goddamn, fried chicken. That's a good one. I haven't gotten that answered yet. That's a great answer. No, that's
Course.
well,
Fried chicken.
it's usually ice cream, pizza, or pasta is like the top answers, which
You're
are
talking to
fair,
a Southern girl. I'm from the South, remember?
True. Yes, yes, I
Chicken,
know.
fried
Yeah,
chicken, 0 calories, zero, yeah, like 0 carbs for that. Even because it's
yeah,
chicken fried chicken, so it's pretty breaded. Yeah.
yeah. No shit. Yeah, that's a good one. Good choice. What sides do you go with whenever you eat fried chicken?
Mashed potatoes, gravy, and salad. Yeah. Yeah. There's some places that in Texas that chicken fried chicken with mashed potatoes, especially the skin on mashed potatoes with the butter.
Yeah. Oh
And
my
then
god.
like a nice green leaf salad with like some chipotle ranch dressing on the side, and that's it's my death row meal.
Really? Oh, that's a good one. My death row meal is a Thanksgiving, just like our family's traditional like
Yeah,
Thanksgiving meal.
yeah,
That's my favorite
yeah.
food on the planet
It is
is
my favorite food
Thanksgiving.
holiday, but I fucking love the fried chicken, especially when it's like nice and like perfectly breaded and like on the
Yeah,
inside it's juicy. Yeah, but
that's
Thanksgiving, I do
good.
love a good pumpkin pie. and some
Oh yeah, pecan
stuffing
pie.
and
Pecan pie is
and
my go-to. Yeah.
don't get me started about food.
Are
Yeah.
you a turkey or ham person?
Turkey, but I do like the sweet ham. I like the honey glazed, I like a good,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Honey glazed is it's actually probably the best way I would use to describe me. It's just honey. Like that's if I was gonna become a porn star, that would be my name, Honey Glaze.
There you go. But it needs to be more than
Yeah.
that. It's like
Honey Glaze ham.
like Herbert the Honey Hay or Honey Hayes. That needs to be a name, not just Honey
Hank.
Glaze. Honey Glazed Hank.
Honey Glaze Hank.
That'd work. That'd work.
Oh my God, here I come. In more ways than one. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yes.
Who was your childhood celebrity crush?
Mm. I think it's this combination of Devin Saw and Jonathan Taylor, JTT.
JTT.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, funny is Devin Saw it did not hit on me on Twitter, but Devin Saw and I interact on Twitter because he's funny. He's respectful because he does have a wife and a
yeah.
kid, but he because I did a little throwback to him with like this little Casper thing. I was like, definitely Devin
Mm,
Saw was my celebrity crush, him and JT
yeah.
and he like
They were in a
saw it.
movie together,
Yeah, no, they were, and I think
Wild
he even
America.
jokes. He even jokes about how JTT had like was the more sweetheart friend, like he had like the perfect sweetheart face, and
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I miss old JTT. He ain't
I
really
know.
around doing much anymore, but
No, yeah,
yeah, Wild America. That's the movie if you
mm,
haven't seen that, but they're both in that. Devin
I'm
Sawa and
nostalgic.
JTT. They play brothers. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been watching, this is very embarrassing, but I've been watching Beverly Hills 90210 pretty much
Okay.
every day for the past couple of weeks. I'll tell you what, Shannon Doherty might be one of the hottest women of all time.
Yeah.
Jesus. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Tiffany Amber Thiesen's pretty hot too.
That's a close second for that
Yeah.
time. Holy
Yeah.
hell.
Well,
Yeah,
even
yeah.
I mean, she was in the Fast Lane in the 2000s. So it's
Hmm.
like a couple of years after that, the Fast Lane. That's actually where I got my stripper name from. This character in there named Aquarius.
There.
Um, and I am an Aquarius, so I would use that as my
Yeah.
stripper name. And guys would be like, "How'd you get your stripper name? Were you at Aquarius?" I'm like, "Yes." And it's also based on this black dude in this TV show that's like 6'3" and 240 pounds. Is that sexy? You want to laugh? You want to lap dance now?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I would
That'll
usually
yeah.
leave that. I'd leave that part out of the story when I would
That's
tell guys
usually good. Yeah, probably a good idea.
because I'm like
Yeah.
I identify as this male character,
Yeah,
And-
that's
but it was mainly because like he was kind of a like an informant, but he only like informed on the bad guys. But
mhm,
like and I always identify with the males and the rap songs, right? I'm like,
mhm.
bitch, put the money in my hand, like
Hell
like
yeah.
I'm not. I'm like the madam, right?
Right,
So.
right, right. Yeah, there's only a few that really, like, kinda work the other way, like, Khalees had a few, "I'm Bossy." That's a great song, which I don't know if you
Mm,
remember that one. There was a few, Lil' Kim really had a run
yeah.
there for a while.
Yes. My
Yeah,
neck, my back, lick my pussy and my crack.
it's
I'm
that,
like,
well,
all
yeah,
right, you tell him,
yeah.
girl, you
That's
tell him.
the
But
that's the "Let It Be" of our generation. Yeah. My
yeah,
god. What was your first Jesus, what was your first concert?
the Offspring,
Oh, that was
Extra
your
Holland.
first concert?
That was my first concert, and I
God damn.
crowd surfed, and I got dropped because I
Huh.
went on the edge of the crowd. But and I got to
Yeah.
meet Dexter Holland, and then 25 years later, got hit on
He
by
tried
Dexter
yeah,
Holland.
he tried to fuck you actually. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Well,
I was
or
like,
who I
look
mean,
how we came
hey,
full circle with that. I was like, this is
yeah,
my life now. Now I'm the one. The roles are reversed, and I'm
yeah,
the one in my prime getting hit on by a bunch of celebrities and I'm not saying I wanted to fuck these people because I was still
yeah.
like a little virgin, like scared of penises, for quite some time.
Yeah,
So,
it's
but
reasonable. Yeah.
oh, they're terrifying. That when you don't know anything about them, they're like,
Oh, I was
oops.
scared of my own until I was about 12 or 13. Like, what is going on down there? I I thought I was trying to grow a third leg, and it just
Oh
stopped
man.
after a couple weeks. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man, thank God for the internet now, huh? Right?
Yeah. My God. Well, yeah. Yeah. I know. Looking
What is
around
a
at,
penis? Holy shit! And
yeah.
now you get
Or,
all kinds
well,
of fun stuff. There's like
yeah.
trans porn now too, and trans porn's interesting. I saw that
Yeah.
for the first time.
It's a fun little rabbit hole to go down. You're like,
Yeah.
huh, how about that?
Yeah,
That's what
well, I
that
was just
looks like,
trying to
huh?
I didn't know, I'm like, do their dicks get hard, you know? But it does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, and I was like, okay, that's really it's just for me, it's really just like research. Like I got actually a happy ending one time, actually last year, my first happy ending. And I was like, this research. And it was like a girl masseuse. So I was like,
Yeah.
I wonder how it all happens. Is there like a code word? Is there like a secret gesture? No,
Yeah.
I found that it's just when they like go to kind of and they accidentally kind of touch you. It's like opening up your legs more is the yes, universal sign for more.
Ah.
And then if you go like this, that's the universal sign for I'm the no.
Oh,
So
that I gotta keep that in mind.
yeah,
Yeah.
I was wondering, I was like really just like I was like really because first of all the massage sucked, right?
Yeah.
And it was in like Jaco, Costa Rica, and I'm like, okay, this massage is not very good. She's got to be a hooker. She's got to be, because it's prevalent down there. It's not even. I was just like,
Yeah.
okay, well, is this out? And I was like, well, how does it happen? And then she kind of like started like rubbing inside my thigh, and she kind of just brushed against. I was like, is she brushing against my pussy lips? Like, I was like, this is not an accident. I was like, okay. And then I saw something in a porn one time where like I watched massage porn and like where this girl went and she took her towel and then she kind of like she kind of like tugged at it and she kind of like it was
Oh,
like and then she like just rips it off, right? So I was like,
yeah.
okay, so I was going to turn over, so I kind of did tug and then just took it off, and then she's like, happy ending. I'm like, huh? I'm like, how much is that? I'm like, what? Sure. And then the girl like goes down on me and like I was like, oh, I was like, I was like, oh, all right, there you go, little
Jesus.
lady.
I mean, that's a hell of a commitment for happy. You wouldn't happen to have an address, would you? I mean, just like, I mean, my God.
Jaco.
Yeah, let me tell you
Costa Rica. Yeah, there's a
God.
lot of them. All you do is walk down the street, like the main street, and when they have like the little boards, it'll have the massage. They'll have like WhatsApp
Yeah.
numbers. You know,
Yeah.
just write one down and just message. And honestly, it's all very consensual, so I think
Yeah.
that's the main thing. Like, I don't mind prostitution. I've never done it. I know a lot of people say that, but I've never. I'm only, yeah, whatever. I don't care that
Yeah.
people do that because I have sex for money. I shoot porn. I do
Right.
OnlyFans. I have,
Which
I'm
is
in the
in a
sex industry,
sense, I mean,
right?
that's
But
somewhat of a yeah.
I'm not as I like a little bit more control than I would have in a
Right.
situation where I was, one on one doing service work. But I just don't like when people in that industry have to when they're in that space and they feel like they have to do it. I would rather
Yeah.
girls do it or women or men or whoever to do it because it's something that they are providing a service and a lot of times they feel like good about what they do, which is because I mean, it is providing a service. But I don't like when people feel like they have to and they can't screen properly and they have to accept clients that they might not otherwise.
Yeah. Yeah. That is when it gets a little sketchy because
Right.
I firmly am behind are on the stance of prostitution should be completely legal, but it should be
You know,
regulated like a like very regulated.
my opinion on that is
Mhm.
government sanctioned cam rooms because to me there's something obviously about like when you have full on service escorting
Mhm.
and stripping and even porn to some degree there's like in-person boundary ruptures likely to occur or more likely to occur versus if you're behind a screen your boundaries are not
Mhm.
going to be violated.
Yeah.
And to me, if there's like if you think about rehabs, there's like if you get out of rehab, there's transition houses, there's halfway houses, there's an off
Mhm.
ramp for people who are experiencing that type of drug use or trying to take care of themselves. But if people are sex trafficked or in the sex industry or there's no kind of off ramp for that. It's like go work at
Yeah.
McDonald's or go back to the streets. There's really not like a safe place that they could go
Yeah.
and do that type of work. If it was set up where there's like, hey, there's cam rooms, there's saying you're not going to get in trouble. You can come
Yeah.
and it's run by a fucking church or some shit. It's not run by some Russian named Igor who's human trafficking people. You know,
Yeah.
I think we'd help a lot of that
Yeah.
space. So that's what I'm here
Yeah.
for as like a porn person, but somebody who has like, I really care about the industry. I'm not going to ever leave it and
Mhm.
say I was ever ashamed of anything, but there's trauma that I've experienced, and
Mhm.
I want to bring in my ability to cope with these things and have really step into embodiment with my decisions and my boundaries moving forward, and to be able to show other people how to do the same while being able to stay in the sex industry if that's what they choose to do.
Fuck yeah. That's a great, I mean, it's a great message to have out, because I mean, obviously there is a downside to it, for a lot of people, and I mean, it's unfortunate that that is the case, but if there's no solution, then or if nobody's trying to make a solution, then what the fuck is, like, what's
Absolutely.
everybody doing?
Right.
Like
Right.
a solution isn't that hard, Like, actually, solutions for most things are pretty fucking easy. It's just
Yeah.
that nobody wants to actually do it,
Right. But if you
and
think
yeah,
about like this like my idea really, and I'm I'm really interested in talking to people who like, because to me abstinence is not really a viable solution. It's like harm reduction in drugs. People are realistic now that you're not going to say don't do drugs, and people are going to be like,
yeah,
okay, cool. They're going to go do some fentanyl laced shit and OD. No, we say, hey,
yeah,
I'd prefer that you not do a bunch of drugs, but if you do, here's some fit test strips, go,
yeah,
don't die. And then people are going and they're having experiences where they're able to do things in a safe space. The same should happen for sex. It's so triggering for other people, and
yeah,
that the people bring religion and all the things. And all it needs to really be is hygiene. We need to talk about hygiene. What's the
mm,
basic, what can we do to make this safer for people and to provide access, because we don't want guys walking around with their balls full. Let's just say that.
amen. Yeah,
Like
I can get on that parade for
I
sure.
mean, especially in
Jesus.
history, I wonder how many times, like, I mean, there's so many instances where you have guys that go out to war and they come home and the women are waiting with open legs going, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Even if they're not paid, like that's how women would do it. They'd be like, no, you guys go back and fight. Our pussies will be here safe and waiting for you when you get back. Right. And it's such an incentive. And we've just kind of taken our ability to enjoy sex away from ourselves by
Yeah,
demonizing it. And then by saying, oh, you have to be a slut, or nobody's, all cool girls are sluts, you have to have sex with everybody. I'm like, no, I'm going to have sex with people that like qualify themselves and are nice to me, and like that I feel
yeah,
like having sex with. But, it doesn't have to be as demonized or as like hidden, or like, we can talk about
yeah,
stuff, and we can all
yeah,
establish boundaries and be cool. That's what communication's
yeah,
all about for me in that regard.
yeah. I'm with you. I'm with you. Because I think all forms have their merit and shouldn't be judged. If somebody wants to be abstinent, fuck yeah, I'm happy for you. Be abstinent. Like, I
I'm
mean,
not
I'm
gonna
serious.
be,
Like,
not me,
well,
but
yeah, no, but exactly. But that's the thing,
yeah,
is like, like, don't, like, the person who is abstinent, don't fucking judge somebody who is having sex with like anyone they want to,
right,
because that's what
right,
they're wanting to do. Now,
right,
if it's not consensual, that goes into a whole different thing. But if
yeah,
you, like, are just, hey, I love having sex, I want to have sex with people, like,
yeah,
then neither one of you should be judging each other, because y'all on the opposite ends of the spectrum when it comes to that. Like,
right.
both of them have their pros and cons,
But
and who's
both
to say
people
which
want
one's
to.
better?
Yeah, and it's honestly none of my business what anybody else wants to do. You know, I
Yeah,
just like to, I just like, good things going out into the world, and if people are empowered and embodied with their decisions, then go for it, you know? And if people don't feel like doing stuff, like, I just hear a lot of concerns about guys that are involuntary celibate, more so, or virgins longer than they would like, because there's just this disparity of guys who are getting all the pussy are getting all the pussy, and the guys who aren't getting any aren't getting any. So, with that, there's a lot of guys that ask all the time, like, how do I get more? And it just comes from a place of, I think that that's the wrong question to ask. And I think it's like,
mhm,
if you want to get like, the question is like, why are you trying to have sex to begin with?
mhm,
And if you're trying to have sex just because you want to get laid, then, there's other people that want to do that. So maybe go find those
yeah,
people. Or if you want to like, but if you're just like, I need pussy, it's like kind of objectifying. Girls don't want to be
Mm,
just something that you scratch off a box, right? They want to be
right.
special. So slow down. A lot of guys, that's what my advice is. To slow
Okay.
down and don't want it so bad, and then you're probably gonna get it. And then go feed the girl and be nice to her, and but make your move when you see that she's ready to, like, you know, that she's open to stuff, like, go for it,
Yes.
and
Always
communicate.
always start off with Jack in the Box. That's
That
my
lead
advice.
with that. Lead with that.
Lead with
Yeah.
Jack in the Box and then
Or
end, yeah.
fried chicken.
Or fried chicken. Fried chicken's a good one too. Yep, yep. Lead with
KFC is, we got Popeyes. I mean, KFC, no, but I'm a Louisiana girl. You give me some Popeyes?
yeah,
You
I
should have
put the
started. I mean,
Colonel
you could Longview, Texas, and you didn't lead with Popeyes?
fuck I don't like Popeye. Okay, I put the Colonel above Popeyes for sure.
Because you're in
Yeah,
Texas. I'm in Louisiana.
yeah.
So
Well,
we got the
well, we
spices.
also we also have Church's chicken, which I
Yeah.
tell you, Church's chicken. I mean, it's not chicken, that's for sure. I don't know what
Yeah.
kind of flying animal it is. It's not a fucking chicken. I can tell you that. But yeah, well, no, well, thank you so much. I've had a fucking blast talking with you. I mean, this
Awesome.
went
Thank you
by
so much for
quick.
having me. And
Absolutely. So before we go ahead and plug, promote, where can people find you, all that good stuff.
so I'm obviously on OnlyFans. JustineJakobs.com is my link. I also have Instagram, Justine.fun, but all my other platforms are Justine Jakobs, Jakobs. And yeah, and come find me because I do a lot of different stuff on a lot of different platforms, especially squirting. That's one of my.
Yeah.
So yeah, thanks for having me. It's been a blast.